Hello everyone and welcome to another Smoothcomp webinar. My name is Rickard Carneborn and I will be your host today together with our CEO Martin Jansson that is with us on Skype. Hi Martin.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. Looking forward to have another webinar here, Webinar Basics. That's the second one. On the first one we covered all the preparations up onto an event, and this will be what you will do during an event weekend. So looking forward to have this hour together with you today.
If you're watching this live on Facebook, then please you can write your comments that you're here so we can see who's here. So please start just saying hi, let us know that you're here. If you have somebody that should be listening to this, if you have a friend that is an organizer or somebody that might be interested in the Smoothcomp platform, then please tag them in this Facebook post. We will be showing this webinar for about an hour. So yeah, from now until an hour, we will be talking about how to actually run your event. Well, we're not telling you how to run your event. We're going to give you our suggestions. We've been working as organizers for about 20 years. And that is kind of the basics on why we created Smoothcomp. We were organizers, we were frustrated, we couldn't find any decent software, so we decided to hook up with the best developers. Our CTO Martin Varhult, he will be in the chat. Him and his developers has created Smoothcomp. We started in 2015. And the last years we've been growing tremendously. We are now probably the biggest platform in the world for combat sports with big organizers all over the world. So we're very happy. If you're watching, then please let us know you're here and ask your questions in the chat. Do we have any people joining in? All right, we'll see who joins in soon. So yeah, we'll just keep on going here. The first thing that's going to happen is that I'm going to share my screen, and then Martin Jansson is going to take us through the blueprint of Smoothcomp and how to actually run the event with the Smoothcomp platform. So Martin, I'm going to share my screen now, and then you can take us through this keynote.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. So this is before we actually look at the different functions and we can go into details. This will be a general overview. And as I said, this will be during the weekend. Normally this will start the evening before if you're setting up your event, or the early morning, the same day of the event. And there's lots of practical stuff, of course, that you need to attend to. And one of those things is not really like Smoothcomp's side here is the venue setup, all the practical things, and this is depends on your ambition. And if you're a very ambitious organizer, you might set up your venue for days before you're done, or if you're small scale, you just laying out the mats, putting up the screens, and get hooked up. So here's everything: mats, banners.
I think we lost Martin for a while there, so let's see if he can reconnect.
And we have the next. So yeah, basically for our sake, for the system's sake, you need to set up a internet connection for your devices, and we would recommend that you put up a Wi-Fi network. A Wi-Fi network should be private, so it only is used by the Smoothcomp system, so you can guarantee that you always access internet throughout the evening. And when you set up Smoothcomp, you need to decide if you go on a budget or if you go like premium experience here. If you want to do the Smoothcomp full experience, then you can put up screens and show lots of stuff. You can put up a schedule, you can put up the podium to if we're going for the minimized version, all you need is a laptop per mat area. That's all that is required to make the system work. But most organizers will mirror this laptop to a TV, so the fighters and the referees and the spectators can see. And after that, it will be up to you. We have a great PDF in the knowledge base that shows hardware setup where you can see the different options that we offer you. When you choose who will be your weigh-in staff. Do this carefully. It's a very important task.
See
and
the different options that we.
And I would advise you to. We always get this question, like, how much will you give away on the scale? Do you give away 50 grams, 100 grams, or half a kilo? My advice would be to go on the advertised limit. Make sure you have correct scales and do it sharp, because if you start giving away 50 grams, are you going to give away 100 grams next time? If you start giving away a half a kilo, are you going to give away 2 kilos? So it's very hard to see where it's at, and it's more clear for your customers if you are sharp what is advertised. So to give this information, you need a staff with good people skills that are humane and can say, sorry, you didn't make weight, happy for your effort, but I can't let you compete, sorry. So be careful. And then it's good to have a good training session with your staff. All your staff should be comfortable on the system. They should be able to run a scoreboard. They should be able to navigate around the brackets, the match order. And if they by mistake click on the Smoothcomp logo, they need to be able to navigate back to the event, into the correct mat, open the first scoreboard, and keep going. So if you make them independent and confident in how to use the software, you will have less work to do during the weekend. So that's very important to have a good training. If we're talking about organization, we need to look at how you organize the event and what staff's roles you will have. So I guess that most of you that watches this webinar are event organizers. So what you should do is make sure that you don't have any tasks to perform during the event. You should only be the problem solver. Give away all your tasks to different staff that we will show here in the organization plan, and your day will be much easier. But giving away staffs is also about giving away responsibility. So a good advice is you need to give your staff knowledge and some freedom to interact, so that you don't get all the questions yourself. That's a key part. So if we're thinking about an event that has maybe 4 to 10 mats or something, it's a good idea to assign somebody to be the mat manager, the one that helps the runners. The runners are the staff that brings fighters to each mat, and sometimes there is problems for the runners. The runners can't find a fighter, they need to disqualify, shall they wait, should they skip in line, they get it's normal for them to have some small problems. The mat manager's role will be to be the first line in support. They will take all the decisions about disqualification, about moving, about finding referees, about taking the decision if you as an event organizer should be disturbed. So this is a great way to not have one person per mat asking you questions. Instead, you have these mat managers acting first line of support. It's very efficient to free up your time and be able to take the difficult tasks during the event. So, of course, runners, a couple per mat. They will be there making sure that you have a steady line of fighters showing up on the mat so you don't end up with empty mats. Try to be efficient in events. This will be appreciated by your fighters. And be there for them, ask questions, tell the runners to teach your fighters how to use their own account so they can follow themselves in their own devices. It's much easier for them it's much easier for the fighters to see the times in their devices than on the TV screens. So the runners should help train your fighters. And I think you lost me there for a second.
Yeah, we lost you there, but we're talking about scorekeepers, right?
Yeah. So what we do, we have an 8-mat tournament coming up in November. What we do here in my hometown is that we set up the organization like one mat is one tournament. So for each mat, I have dedicated runners, dedicated scorekeepers, dedicated mat referee that all works as a team. So when somebody needs to take breaks, go for lunch or whatever, they take turns having breaks within that team. They get to know each other, and they get their mat to be as efficient as possible. They get a good atmosphere. They meet all the players, and it's very good. If member has problems or difficulties, it will only affect this mat, and the mat manager will be able to support them and help them out. If you're mixing staff all over the mats, the problems might be harder for you to solve. So it's a very good idea to think about the 8 small tournaments instead of one big tournament principle that we use. So that's for organization is a good idea to minimize damage if something happens.
So I see a lot of people has joined in to watch. Please write your comments, any comments in the comment section. We have our CTO, Martin Warhult. He will be answering questions. So if you have questions during this keynote, then please ask them. Soon we will start sharing the screen and show you the Smoothcomp system. But let us know in the comments that you're here, and we'll answer your questions. So I'm going to move over to the next slide with more event roles.
So if we are talking about hands in the system, who works the Smoothcomp system, then it's the main person is the one on the last slide, which is the scorekeepers. They're the one that decides how the results should be put in on each mat, and they propagate the tournament forward. But then you also have the weigh-in staff. They will check ID cards, make sure that players are the one that applied, that the age matches the category, make sure they make their weight, check their equipment, that everything is, the gi has the right measurements and everything. They will work in the system, and we will show later on how they can do the weigh-in process. And we also have the podium staff coming up. This is the third person that operates the system during the tournament. After all brackets are done, you are left, or as soon as one bracket is done, you will get a result that is to be published. And this is to keep track of that you have handed out all the medals. So the podium staff could use a smartphone and just refresh their screen and see that, okay, we got 2 podiums coming up. I will hand out the medals. And as they press publish on that bracket, the results will go live on internet, and any top lists will be updated in the system. So that's the third and final person having hands on the system during the tournament. It's the table staff, it's the weigh-in staff, and it's the podium staff. You as an event organizer will use the system just to keep monitoring the progress and maybe suggesting changes or stuff like that. But these are the operational hands on the system. Besides that, you can have professional photographers. You can have a video crew to live stream the event. Normally, they don't engage in the system very much. Sometimes when you have a video crew, they want to cut the scoreboard in the picture. Of course, they will then hook that up. We use HDMI splitters to perform that today. More exciting features coming, like in the next 6 months maybe. But at the moment, that's the way we do it. And of course, you're going to have your medical staff, doctors, nurses, and that's a good quality sign of a competition, that you take care of your competitors. There should be someone there to comfort the young, to take care of the injured, and decide if it's time to take an ambulance or so. So that's the important staff members as well for you to cover up. So yeah, we are done with that part of the keynote, or that part of the webinar. We will now go over to the actual working in the system, and Rickard will take over from here, and I will support.
Yes, perfect. I see a lot of people are commenting, so please continue doing that if you have any questions. And Martin Warhult, who is our CTO and master designer, he will answer your questions. So the webinar content is like 10 different sections. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a while here, and then We should be back here. Can you see us? I think so, yeah. Hi there, back again. So what I'd like to do now is to share my screen with you. We're going over to our demo site. So I'm going to share my screen like this. And then we can go over some of the things that we decided to cover in this webinar. The first thing would be how you can perform a weigh-in. From the registrations view, this is where all the registrations come in. We talked about this in the last webinar, that you set up everything and now registrations are in, it's closed, you have created your brackets, and now you have people lining up to do the weigh-in. We actually have two different views to do the weigh-in. You can do it from here, the registrations view. Then you're going to click here on this scale icon. So I'm going to work with Ignacio Hansson here. And when I click the weigh-in icon here, it displays this box here. And then he's supposed to be 53.5 kilos. And let's pretend that he was 52. We recommend that this weigh-in staff always puts their name in the comments, so it will be easy for you to track what happened. So make sure to write the name of the person that is doing changes in this comment here. And then I'm going to change his status from unknown to OK, because he made weight. So I'm changing his status like this. And as you can see now, Ignacio is now OK, and his weigh-in icon is now green. Then we have Bradford Quinn. He also supposed to be 53.5, but he actually misses weight. And now, depending on how you run your tournament, some organizers, they disqualify when you don't make weight, and some organizers decide to move the person to another weight if possible. So as a practice now, I'm gonna make Bradford's weight, well, I see that he didn't make weight. I see that, you know, when he gets on the scale, he doesn't make his weight. So then I decide to move Bradford instead. So then I will click Bradford's name here, but the box next to his name. And then Bradford, is that a women's name? Well, maybe it is. Then I will move him to the 58.5 division instead. So I will triple click here, and then I can just copy this text string, and now I will click the move button down here. And then I can paste it in here and activate the group that I want to move him to. I could write a public note saying that he missed weight and that's why we moved him. And now click move registrations. And as you can see now, Bradford is down here instead. And that is how you can move fighters. This was before the bracket was created. If you haven't started the bracket, you could move him in and then reseed the bracket. If, for instance, you have gi or no gi divisions, or you have normal weight and then an open weight, and you want to copy a fighter to another division, you would use the copy functionality instead. So let's work with Bradford again. I will mark his name like this, and then I will click copy. And copy opens up this window, and here I can choose to put him in the absolute division. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and grappling, that would be an open division without any weight limits. And then I would put him in the white belt division, and then in the adult age division. And then I would select the group automatically. And now when I click copy, it will create a copy of Bradford and put him also in the absolute division. So that is a way to weigh in somebody, and also how to move and copy fighters.
If we fall back a little bit, because everybody watching here now, we're in the registrations list, and this is something that you as an organizer have access to, and you can also have managers that have special roles that can access this page. But if you are careful about giving out your password to the site, you can assign staff members, and staff members will do weigh-ins through another place, and that weigh-in will be the find matches.
So I'm clicking brackets and schedule, and then going over here to find matches.
Staff members can score fights at the score table, and they can weigh in people, and they can give out medals. And you assign this from your organizer manager. If they have a Smoothcomp account, you can just copy their email address and assign them staff rights, and they can help you with your event without getting the keys to your most treasured homepage.
So from here, I could also perform a weigh-in. This is usually used if you have the weigh-in just by the first fight. So in some tournaments, you do the weigh-in the day before, or you have a specific time in the morning. But some organizers, they do the weigh-in just before their first fight. And the Find Matches view shows all the fights in the tournament, starting with the first fight and then just like this in a long list. So when it's time for Dwayne, Gil, and Randall, they should come to the weigh-in, and then you can perform the weigh-in just the same way by clicking this icon here. And then we could do the same thing here. We could put him as OK, say that he was 100 kilos, write my name. Now my name is Ruckard, like that. And then I'm going to change the status for Dwayne. So now his color went from red to green, and that is consistent in the system all over the screens and everything, that the green color by his name means that he has weighed in. So for runners working finding fighters, it's very easy to see that a green little mark like that, just by their name, means that they have weighed in. So that will speed up the process. You don't have to be running all over the place to find fighters. You know that they already weighed in. So once you have performed all the weigh-ins, then or actually when you have started doing the weigh-ins, depending on how you do it, and you decided that okay, the event is starting at 10 o'clock. If you want to be a tournament that people talk well about, it's very important that you start exactly on time. We've seen this over the years. We've been running tournaments that we get a lot of positive feedback when we actually start right on time. We actually bring in the fighters about a half an hour before the first, before 10 o'clock, if we're starting 10 o'clock. So make sure you take at least a half an hour, because there's going to be a lot of people trying to do the weigh-in. People are nervous, people are running all over the place. So make sure you have a lot of time to bring in your fighters. And then once the clock hits maybe 5 minutes to 10, then you bring out all the referees, and they should be standing on the mat waiting, and then just 10 o'clock you say fight, or you start the fights. That will create a really good feeling of smoothness, and that you are actually taking their time very seriously. You don't want people waiting, and so you have to be really prepared for that.
I would put some energy in the staff training to prepare all your staff that we're gonna start exactly on time. And to do that, I need you to start 9:30. You're gonna start looking for fighters, and it will be difficult to find fighters in the morning. It's much easier during the day. But in the morning, while people are warming up, you need to go and get your fighters to the mats well in time. And that will be your hardest working period of the day, in my opinion. But it's so worth it, because then you're right on track from start.
If we have any questions about how to do the weigh-ins, or how to move or copy fighters, then please ask that in the chat, and then we will happily address that either now or at later on in the webinar. So we decided to talk about an hour, and I see that a lot of people have joined in, so very happy to see you there. If you have anybody that should be listening into this, then please write their name in the comments so that they can find it now live or go back later to watch it. So the next step now would be to start the actual event. Then I'm going to click over to the brackets and the schedule tab. And here you can see the layout of this tournament. This tournament has 8 mats going. And if you're working as a scorekeeper, and let's say that you have been assigned on mat number 1, in the morning when I go to my mat and I'm logged in with my account, I should click the View Mat button, this button here. And when I do that, this view will display all the brackets to the left and all the matches that are scheduled for mat number 1 today. Smoothcomp has an algorithm that gives fighters rest between fights. And you can actually also determine how you want this to work. The default setting is that we give a minimum of 1 match rest between normal fights, and we give 2 matches of rest before a final. But this is you can adjust this from schedule settings. Then just go to admin and then go down here to schedule settings. You will be able to adjust this. So once I start my tournament, I'm the scorekeeper for mat number 1. Then I will click here on mat 1 and fight number 1. And that will expand a menu like this. I could click to open the scoreboard. I can see the actual bracket, and I actually have links to each fighter's profile here, which we think is really cool because everybody has a personal account on Smoothcomp. So once you started using Smoothcomp, and now we're pretty much very dominant in the grappling world. So if you're running, if you're fighting in grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Gi, big chances are that you can collect all your fights in our tournament, in our platform. So, but I'm the scorekeeper now, so I won't click that. I'm gonna click the scoreboard, and then it takes me to this good-looking scoreboard, and from here I will be able to start the first fight. We showed this in a previous webinar, so I won't go to any big details here, but basically you start the clock, you give points like this, and then
you use full screen.
Yeah, that's also very important. So now I have not full screen, but please go full screen like this, and then remove the address bar and stuff like that. Then I'm gonna stop the clock because this fight ended before the time was up. I'm gonna end the game clicking here, and then I choose the winner, and it's Lucas Ortega by points, 3-2. So then I click points, and then I click save, and then I confirm, and then it says save to bracket, meaning that the result is online, and I can proceed by going to the next match. And as a scorekeeper, I could stay here during the whole tournament. If I get curious on where we are in our mat, I can go back to the fight order, and that will take me back here where we previously were when we started fights. Or I could actually go to the actual bracket. So here is the bracket, and you see if I hover over the first fight here, it says here that the winner was Lucas by points. So the next thing I want to show you is how you can move brackets. Because during the day, when you pre-schedule, when you did the schedule, then you try, of course, you try to have an even distribution of brackets all over the mats, so that you have an ETA when the tournament stops that is, consistent. You want to be stopping your tournament at the same time over all mats. But things happen. There can be an injury, something can happen during the tournament. So what we usually do, and help me out here, Martin, if you have more information regarding this, we tend to, in the afternoon, we start seeing kind of a pattern that one of the mats are going slower than the other one. So then I need to start in time to move brackets from one mat to another. And it's very important that and this is the event organizer's work. It's his job to make sure that we're doing this on time so that we can give fighters the time to prepare for that. Maybe we need to adjust their starting time a little bit. So in order to move a bracket from mat number 1 to mat number 2, I will click Edit Schedule here.
When you're doing this operation, it's good to see what consequences you are giving the actual group. If Rickard picks up the last bracket of the day of mat 1, they think they will start at 3:23, and if he puts that on mat number 2 now, they will instead start at 11. That will give you disqualifications. Those players will not be able to adjust their plans. So when you're moving bracket on the event day, it should be very careful, and you should think about what consequences you're causing to your competitors. So it might be better to look higher up in the list on mat 1 to find a matching time and move that one slot instead. See if he finds a match midnight, and he puts that midnight, 17 minutes over midnight, and puts that at the end of the day. Then it's a bigger chance that everyone that you move will make weight. But when moving, you should always address it on the speakers, speak to your crowd. They are not prepared for this before you do it, so use this carefully.
And just an explanation on the different times here. The 22:59 that I'm like using my mouse over here so that you guys can see it. That's the starting time of the first fight in this bracket. And the ETA here is when this mat is about to be finished. So as Martin said, it's pretty much at midnight. That's a really long tournament, but of course this is a demo site. So just so we understand that the time here reflects the first fight when that starts. And then this shows when it's supposed to be ending. So maybe I could move this one that was supposed to start 70 minutes past midnight. I can move that one here. And then I can even out my schedule a little bit. And then I save my changes. And now you will see that the system automatically recalculates all the times, and we have evened out our schedule a little bit.
Yeah, one match, one match at a time.
Yeah.
Just to say about the time, sometimes we get support questions about this. Rickard told you about the resting algorithm. So the time that you hovered before is the first match of that bracket. Sometimes the next bracket has a time that looks confusingly close to the first time. I don't see any clear examples here, but it means that if you are just next to a final in one bracket, then the scheduler will pick up the first fight from the next bracket and run that before it finishes the last.
I think we lost Martin there for a while. So hopefully, are you back, Martin?
Yep.
Yeah, we lost you for a while. Can you go back? Can you say again?
Yeah, I said the time that you hovered. It's important to remember it's the the time of the first fight of that bracket. It does not represent when the last bracket is finished.
Correct. So what I want to show you now is also a way to split your brackets. Let's have an example. I'm running a big tournament, and on mat number 3 I have a video crew that we talked earlier on, and they want to stream all the finals on mat number 3. So I just want to, when I do the schedule, I want to schedule all my finals on one mat. So I will go in here, and then I will pick the final of men white adult 76. So I click this bracket. And as you can see now, it displays all the... That was a big one. So over here, I have the final. I hope you can see this. And then I'm just gonna mark this fight. I'm gonna click on it, or I could drag my mouse over to choose several matches at the same time. But for now, I just want to move the final. So I'm clicking the final, and then up here, this has activated this add selected matches to a new block. So when I click here, it gives me all my different mats here. So let's see, I hope I do this right. I'm gonna put it on.
Should be Wednesday again.
Oh, okay. So in order to see this, I will pick Wednesday. So I want my final going on mat number 3. So I click Wednesday, mat 3, and then Smoothcomp very fast recalculates everything and then puts the final on mat number 3. And you can see that it reflects here. All the green matches are on the original mat number 1, but the final is now on mat 3. Going back to brackets and schedule, I will see that I have my final here now instead. And as you can see, when I hover over, it reflects over here. So this and this is connected. And then I can just continue doing this. I'm going to do it one more time so you guys can see it. I'm going to click here. And then I'm going to click here because this is the final. And then activate this one. Move it over to Wednesday mat number 3. And the same procedure again. Now this final is on mat number 3 instead.
It's kind of nice. The system recognizes it's a final. It labels it a final. If you mark all the quarterfinals, you will get a schedule block called quarterfinals. But you can also edit that tag. So if you want to rename the final to, I don't know, Jacare versus Marcelinho, that's fine. You can edit the tag that follows. So if you press edit, you can see that you can change the label, and you can reassign it to a different mat as well if you change your mind.
Or actually it was a semi-final. So that is how you split your brackets. You can use this to put specific matches on a specific mat, or you can even do it at the end of the day. Let's say that you have a very big bracket, like the one that I showed you as an example, the -76. That was a huge one. So at the end of the day, I might want to split this bracket up in 2 halves. So instead of this lower half going on the same mat, I can just drag over here like this, and this will pick all these fights. And then I can just move the other half. So the first half goes on one mat, and then I put the other half on another mat. So use this if you want to even out your schedule, and you will have a perfect ending time on all mats. And never any dead mats or any dead rings. We've seen this over the years, that the biggest frustration for the audience is when nothing is happening on the mats. As an audience, you're wondering, why aren't they doing any fights on mat number 3? And usually the organizer is struggling. They try to find fighters, but they don't have the tools for it. But with Smoothcomp, it's never a dead mat. If you're doing it this way, you will always have fighters running, fights running on the mats.
And a little advice from experience here is that the scheduling part, like dragging brackets, that should be done very carefully during the tournament. You can split brackets, but also that should be done well in time, because what you're doing is changing somebody's personal fight schedule. So they're looking at their cell phone and they see, okay, it's 2:25 when I'm fighting, and then all of a sudden it could be 3:15, and they get confused. So use this carefully.
We lost Martin again. I will keep talking until he comes back. Are you here, Martin?
Yeah, there's yeah. So let's say you're in the end of the day. You have 10 fights left on one mat and no fights on the other mat. then I would advise you to move those matches manually instead of using the moving brackets or splitting brackets, because it might be too confusing. I would let the team that the runner team that works on mat 1 distribute their fights over 2 mats to make it as smooth as possible at the end of the day. So when it's very quick and it's very short time, then remember that any computer can bring up any fight if they go. The scorekeepers on mat 2 can easily log into mat 1 and bring up any fights they are assigned. So that's when you're short of time. That's a good option.
Perfect. So what I'd like to show you now is how you can resave a fight, because that could happen that you perform you score a fight, but then it turns out that you gave the wrong person the win. So let's say that we have this example, Santos versus Lucas, that we previously scored as Lucas as the winner. But now Lucas has protested, Santos has protested. He was the winner by submission, and you as an event organizer or your mat managers, you acknowledge that this is the fact and you need to go back and resave this fight. So I can do that from the brackets view. So the way to do this is go to the actual brackets where you see this bracket tree, and then just hover over here again and click go to scoreboard. And instead of Lucas being the winner, I'm gonna resave this fight. And we recommend that if possible, always try to give the scorekeeper a printout of the schedule of the brackets and have them do small notes, because since Smoothcomp now has profiles for each fighter, and we do get a lot of support when people see that, you know, they were given a win by points, but it should have been a submission, or oh, my submission was at this time. So please remember that you are giving information, that the information that you say will reflect on their profile. So if I know that this fight ended after 1 minute, I could actually go here and then I could just deduct, like this. So I will take away 1 minute here. So I know that this fight just took 1 minute, and then I'm gonna end the game, but instead of putting Lucas as the winner, it was Santos that was the winner by submission. So then I click submission, and then I resave this fight and click OK. And now when I go back to the bracket, you will see that Santos is now in the final instead of Lucas. So that is a way to resave fights if anything goes wrong. So what I want to do now is I want to finish these last fights here because we need a result to work with. So I'm going to hover over here again, go to my scoreboard. And
this is good, Rickard, sorry. This is a good chance to just give you, when you're training your own staff, the table staff, all they need to know will be shown by Rickard at this moment. He will open up the first scoreboard of the day. He will start the clock on the sign of the referee. And then, as the fight is running, he will know the referee signs. So the staff needs to train the referee signs, of course. And it will follow like a 2-pointer for Thomas, maybe. And they need to say, okay, paro, they end the game. And they choose the winner. And what way was the win? You see it's flashing on top. Thomas is selected as a winner. He presses save. And now he confirms it in the browser. And now there's a blue button lighting up that says next match. If you press next match, it will be the next scoreboard that is scheduled to run. If they repeat this throughout the day, that's all they do. So it's a very comforting way when you teach your staff what they're going to do. It's more about knowing jiu-jitsu, about knowing the science or judo or whatever sport you're working with, of course, but it's more about interacting with the referees than handling the system. Besides doing this, I would like them to be able to navigate the system. If by chance they happen to click on a Smoothcomp logo, get navigated out to the front page or whatever. And that's something easily practiced for them at the day of the event. But they know, all they need to know is running the scoreboard, and it's that straightforward.
So now I have this fight, which is the final, and then I can do the same. I can just end my game here. Then I choose the winner is Dwayne by points. I save, I confirm. And now if I go back to the actual bracket, you saw that was another one. Well, it doesn't matter. This was just one fight. As you can see, the algorithm picked another fight. We had another fight with 4 persons, but then when we clicked next match, we went over to another, it started another bracket. And that is the way the system works to give the correct resting time for the fighters. But now we have a result here. It says 1 and 2 here. There's also a way that I could change these results. So for some reason, help me out here, Martin, but it could be that both of these fighters actually was disqualified after the fight. That could be an example. So we had this fight where Dwayne was the winner, but after the fight they both started fighting in the locker room, or they did something that are not allowed. So they should not be given any points. So I could alter the result here. I could click here and put them both to 0. And then save. And now Guillermo and Dwayne did not receive any points. They are not accumulated to the ranking for their academies, and it will display here that they didn't finish. They didn't get any medals. So that's the way to alter the results like that. Now the last thing here is to go to the results view. In the results view, I have all my finished brackets. So as you can see here, we have Guillermo and Dwayne here waiting to be published. And if I toggle here, it says show the published brackets already. Now I am in the unpublished section. So if I click here, it displays all the brackets that I already published. Going back here, shows the one that I should publish.
This works very well on a smartphone, so it's the podium staff that might not have a computer nearby. It's very easy for them to just pick up their phone and check, okay, Guillermo and Dwayne, and then they press publish, and they can keep going.
What we recommend is that by the podium area where you give out the medals, have a computer connected to a TV screen, and then from this view you click podium TV mode, and that will display this view. You can neglect the information here because I'm logged in with my account, so I'm supposed to fight Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker soon, but when you are logged in with your organizer manager, that will not be displayed here. So this is a very nice way to show who is receiving a medal at the moment. The persons to the left, Roderick and Tyrone and Dana, they are right now on the podium getting their medals. And as you can see here, it says coming up. And that is our friends Guillermo and Dwayne. So if I click here again and press publish, then this screen will automatically update and put Guillermo and Dwayne at the podium right now. And that is the way that the people by the medal podium should work. When they have fighters ready to get their medals, they press publish, and then you can take beautiful pictures with the TV screen in the background. You see the guys with their medals, and then you have their names. And people really appreciate that they get their 1 minute of fame on the podium. So that is a way to publish your results. And when you're publishing results, that accumulates points to the rankings. We built a list here that says in Swedish Best Adult Academy. And as you can see, this is populated here with, actually this is a nations list with Martin here as well.
Actually, it was me that named all the academies to capitals, and so it's academies. Brasilia is an academy in the system. Helsinki is an academy.
All right.
And
so
Martin Johnson is an academy, of course.
If I want to change this, I go to ranking settings. And from ranking settings, I click ranking lists. And here you can see that it says Best Adult Academy, and I can change it here to Best Nation maybe. And then I can change here so that this ranking list will show the nations list. So it will look on the fighters' profiles and see what nation they have, because when you sign up for an account, you pick your nation. And then this list will show the best nation. So if I go back now to my ranking, it says here, best nation. You are actually a nation, Martin.
I am.
Yeah. So that's the way to build your ranking list. There's tons of features here. If you go to ranking settings, you can of course create any list you want from here. Just click create new ranking list and then build your own list. You can include specific registrations. So I could pick a list to show only black belts, maybe the best black belts during the tournament. Then I would click entry, say that the entry contains black, and that would give a list with all the black belts in the tournament.
And that represents the text you put on your entries. So if your entry is called black belt, then that's what you're gonna choose. If your entry is called male, you're gonna type male, or you're gonna go and say class instead of entry, Rickard. Oh, here we are. Yeah. So here on this one, and below men you have, I think we covered this on the last webinar, how this is built. But you can actually choose then on the filter list for the ranking list, you choose either the entry, which is called men on this one, or you choose some of the classes, which is belt, the division is a class, and the weight is a class. And you can say this ranking list is only for the adults. So you choose class is adult, and that will only represent players that are in the adult division.
Going back to the ranking settings, there's also a way to give points for the different medals. So in this example, we have placement points that gives a gold medal 9 points, a silver 3 points, and a bronze 1 point. And I could keep adding placement points here. So let's say that I have it a little bit differently, maybe like this. And then we're giving each person from 4 to 128, they get 1 point for just being in the tournament. They didn't win any medal, but if you're having a ranking that you want to display and you want to encourage people to compete, then you can give points just by being in the tournament. We have more things here, but that will be covered in another webinar. We have some really advanced features here for overrides. And then you can even give different points or extra points for the winning method. So if somebody wins by a submission or a KO or a TKO or an Ippon, then you can give more points like that.
And that will be counted for each match they are fighting. So if you give too much points here and they do 5 fights, it will be a lot of points for their win streak. So you need to carefully calculate how to make the best setup.
So the last thing in the webinar, we're reaching our hour limit here that we decided that we're going to talk, is I'm going to show you the statistics page. The statistics page is where you can see all the information regarding your event, your registrations. It will say how many fighters approved by country here. It will display all registrations for the club. And in some tournaments we have a team or an affiliation that will also display here. You can see the fastest submission. If there's a grappling tournament, you will see the submissions, who won the fight by an arm lock or a strangulation or something. There's a lot of really cool statistics here. I use this in my events to plan when I buy medals. So I go into my last event and then I see, okay, I gave out maybe 80 gold medals and 80 silver medals and about 65 bronzes. Then I can plan my when I buy my medals, I can plan that with the statistics for my last tournaments. You see a credits breakdown on how many credits you used from your account. We make a distinguishing. Make a difference between the registrations and the unique users. So the unique user is only per head. So the registrations shows the total, so that could be one person competing in several divisions. But the unique users is just the actual person that was in the event. And then the last thing would be the payments statistics. So when you're working with the event and people are paying for your tournament, you're making refunds, there's a lot of things going on during the tournament, that will be reflected here. So for your accountants, you can give them access to this and they will be able to see everything that happened. You can click on each order to see how much they paid, or if you paid as an admin instead of them paying.
Yeah, so on the registrations view, you will see if people paid by credit card, you will have the credit card symbol. Otherwise, you have the money symbol. So if you click that as an administrator, the money symbol, it means, or it should mean, that you received cash in hand, or you checked your bank balance and there was a transfer. And that will automatically generate one of these payment orders for you to keep track. Then you can filter on the payment method on the top right, and you can see how much money did we take in cash, how much did we get order status to see if we had any, or sorry, type to see if we had any refunds. So you can filter and you can check your economics quite good from the system. The one thing that you need to consider is that we represent the charge. This is what your customers paid, and then we do not represent how much your payment, like PayPal or Stripe, how much they took from you in a fee. That is not represented here.
All right, guys. So that is the content of this Basic 2 webinar on how to run your actual event. Yeah, we're back here. Thanks a lot for listening. I know there's a lot of information here, but we're so passionate about this, so we can't stop talking about our platform. Do we have any questions now in the chat? Then we will stick around for a while and then answer them. Maybe we have something now that people want to talk about, then we can stay around for a bit longer and answer those questions. We will continue to do these webinars. The Basic 1 and the Basic 2 webinar will come back, and then we will also do a little bit more advanced features, show you a little bit more about the rankings, and so check out the Facebook live webinars when we promote them. Please follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. This name is Smoothcomp, of course. And yeah, we will also upload this webinar so you can see it afterwards. It will be live on, not live, but it will be video on demand on YouTube and also here on Facebook. So if you have somebody that should see it again, then you can just ping them in this live feed, and they will be able to access the video on demand afterwards. Yeah.
Very nice. Real nice.
So
Guys.
we have some questions here coming in. I'm just gonna find one thing here. Hold on. Let's see if I can find this. We have some questions here from Kai. Here we go. Sorry about that. There's a lot of buttons here to click. Kai asked. No, actually, his question was answered already. How long will refunds take? Well, 5 days with Stripe. Do you know, Martin? I think it's a little bit faster, right?
The correct answer, it depends on your payment provider. So it's a transaction from PayPal back to their account. So a few days. From support issues, I have realized that sometimes it can take up to a week. But sometimes it's fast.
Yeah.
So it depends. It's not in our hands technically. It's in PayPal's hands or in Stripe's hands.
Marcus Borges, hello man, is asking where you're going to share this webinar. It will be on YouTube. We will upload this on YouTube, and I think we will also upload it on Facebook. So yeah, make sure to check out our YouTube channel and also here on the Facebook channel.
And join the Smoothcomp community.
Yeah. Thanks for a smooth seminar. Thank you, Kai. Thanks for the support. Kai is running a judo tournament soon. Linus Gustafsson asked, is there any possibility to run a demo tournament? Yes, we have a demo page, demo.smoothcomp.com. So please create an account there. You need to let us know that you have done it. And then once you have that, then you can just send us an email, and then we will give you access to the demo.smoothcomp page, like that. And then you can have access to that, and you can train your staff using that and just practice using Smoothcomp.
And your normal Smoothcomp account will not work on demo, so you need to create a new one.
Kim Martis asks, how do you access the demo to practice for your event? Yeah, as we said, please create an account on demo and let us know. Send us just an email, support@smoothcomp.com, and then say, hey, I created my demo account. Can you please give me access? And then we will respond very fast to give you access to one of our demo events. Marcos Borges says, my tournament will be this upcoming Saturday. Good luck, man. Where is it? Where is your tournament? Let us know. And what kind?
Yeah, I believe it's the record now. We have 32 tournaments on Smoothcomp on this weekend, so it's a busy week.
Luigi, I sent a ticket about the demo. Is it possible to clone our tournament to the demo site? No, unfortunately, due to GDPR regulations, that is the data protection regulation here in the Europe, we're not allowed to put names on a demo site without having consent from the athletes. So we will be able to give you a demo site, and then we will populate that with kind of dummy names. But we cannot use your actual live data. Sorry about that, but that is a restriction from the EU. Marcos Borges, BGA tournament in Patterson, New York. All right. Good luck, Marcos.
Anyone running tournaments in New York can always invite us. Just send the flight tickets and we'll be glad to go, right, Rickard?
Yeah, always. Smoothcomp has taken us all over the world, which is awesome. So, and that is, of course, I mean, something that you, if you're a tournament organizer and you want our expertise, if I may say that, then you can always have a one-on-one demo like this. We do that all the time. We can offer training for your staff. We can offer online training like that, like this. And then, of course, if you need our help on site, we will be able to travel to your event and help you out if we have the correct planning and stuff like that. So if that is an interest to have us on site, then you can contact us and we will try to look into that. I don't know if you're still here, Wilbert, but in a pool system, how can you set that winning on submissions gives you more than winning on points for the ranking in the pool? That is using the ranking points and giving extra points for submissions.
Actually, at the moment in the specific pool, you can choose to have a tiebreaker in case that you have two players placing on the same points, and then you can choose that the win by submission will rank higher. But that's a coming feature that you're asking for, to be able to choose. For instance, a win gives 1 point, a win by submission gives 3 points into the round robin table. That's a coming feature that we don't have activated at the moment.
Kenny Freeman asked earlier on, and you got a reply from Martin Varhult, but are there any quick commands on the scoreboard so you do not have to use the mouse all the time? Yes, you can use the keyboard. We can send you the keyboard layout to use the keyboard instead of the mouse. And we have a really cool thing coming up. I can't really go into much of a detail, but it's been a big project of ours for a long time. We're reaching kind of the later stages, but we will soon be able to give you another way of inputting the scores in all our scoreboards. It's a really big project and it kind of connects to other stuff as well, but soon we will be able to share that news. All right. Thank you very much for all your questions and your interest in Smoothcomp. We're super excited about this, and we have a lot of things coming up. We are planning on building more and more features all the time. We invest all efforts in building the best and smoothest platform out there. So thank you very much for listening, and yeah, I'll see you soon in the next webinar or in the support system.
Thanks, guys.